I'm Tim Ziemer, the son of Robert Ziemer, one of the missionaries that was martyred in Vietnam. My father was a good man. He was very passionate. He had a great sense of humor, and he would often laugh with a full body laugh, and that would just trigger everyone else. He would often refer to his call, this compelling urge that he felt to go to overseas ministry. And he at one point said that he felt that call was as strong as his call to faith when he realized what God's grace had done in his life. My mom and dad went to the mission field in 1947. I was 6 months old. After they got to the mission field, it became clear that training was necessary. And so from their ministry, a Bible school was started. My father realized there was no scripture in the language of the Rade people. So I recall as a kid walking through the dining room, where in the evenings he'd have the pressure lantern on, and he'd have the French and the Vietnamese and the English Bible, and he was working through and translating scripture from those 3 or 4 languages into the local dialect. They were preachers and teachers, but they spent a lot of their time in what we call today now development, medical development, helping many of the folks who had leprosy and other tropical diseases through the mission hospital. In 1968, the North Vietnamese committed themselves to a conventional attack. This was unprecedented, and our provincial capital of Buon Me Thuat was one of the provincial capitals that was attacked. Because so many of the pastors and teachers who were Christians tended to be the educated ones, they became targeted by the communists. Folks weren't prepared for that high level of attack, and as a result, the mission compound was caught in the middle of a crossfire between the communists and the South Vietnamese forces. The missionaries decided it was very important to at least have some place that they could hide in, and so they dug out a makeshift bunker in an old garbage pit. The U.S. Army sent a couple helicopters to see if they could fly in there and drop in and whisk them away, but the firing was so intense that they couldn't jeopardize the safety of the crew. My father, realizing that somebody needed to do something, left the bunker to try to negotiate some sort of consideration for the release of people. We don't really know what happened, but one of the North Vietnamese soldiers shot him with his AK-47 rifle and left him to die in the dust of the compound. And then they threw a couple hand grenades into the bunker, and that killed Ed and Ruth Thompson. My mother was the only survivor. She had 18 hand grenade wounds. Her eardrums were punctured from the explosion. The communists ordered her out of the bunker. She tried to play dead, but they saw her breathing, and then told her to march off the compound. And she saw my dad lying there. He was still breathing, and she tried to go to him, but they didn't give her permission to do that. That still haunts her to this day. She was taken off the compound and held prisoner. The South Vietnamese and the U.S. Army counterattacked, and the communists left. They virtually left my mom by the side of the road, kind of dumped her there because they thought she was going to die. The reality of that news was something that didn't shock me. The whole nature of the situation, you knew that in any day something terrible could happen. But still, when you get the word of something like that happens, just like any other family member, when there's a unexpected death or tragedy, it's a pretty sobering reality. I think anytime there's a death in a family, it's a life-changing event. And frankly, I don't think you ever stop working through it. Even though I fully understood their commitment, and I was a Christian, there's still a human reaction that keys right into the why question. Why God? would you allow this to happen? Because they were there to help build the church. It really wasn't until I spent some time observing how my mother reacted to it and responded to it that helped crystallize in my mind that there was more to the story than just the incident. I've never heard her second guess. She reflects back to those days as the highlight of her days, serving in Vietnam. Regardless of the circumstances, if we just claim the truth of what the Bible tells us, we can see things a bit more clearly. I would say observing my parents as missionaries has influenced my entire life. What it's done is it's given me a focus of what service is all about. God had a plan. And it's encouraging to see how he used, in this case, 7 missionaries to go and build up this mission station, to set up a Bible school, translate the scripture, build the church, and give them, the church, the roots it needed to endure virtually 20 to 30 years of severe persecution. It's not the building, it's the people. And what's encouraging is that through all of that persecution, God has moved people, given them the courage, the passion, the conviction to stand up and follow him. I can't say I look back with joy, but I can look back with peace and contentment that God is at work using individuals like you and me to accomplish his purposes.